Welcome, 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 everybody, to another great episode of Real Life Matters. And of course, I am your host, DBoss. And I just want to, yes, we're almost wrapping up here on Black History Month for everybody. But, as I've said to people, I believe Black history is represented every single day. So, yes, it's an official month, it's February, but for me, I feel that if you're Caribbean or if you're from Africa, you're from the United States, you're from all global. We live it every day. Every day we're breaking barriers and doing things. So for me, we're living Black history every single day. But I also do want to thank the people who have been doing their 15 minutes of laughing every day or more, because that releases the blood pressure and the endorphins in your body. It also tones down your abs. I'm not saying they have to stop going to the gym, but it's just, you could just do that. Also, it's free, it's good for your soul, and it's for all ages. So everybody can participate in laughing. And if you have a job that's more serious, well, then you can't do just 15 minutes. You're going to have to go for a little longer, because that way you can release all that built up, pent up stress that's inside. How you start your day is how you're going to finish it. So I'm just encouraging the people and thanking the people who have been doing it. They said they've been having a great time and they have been great at it. And they've been just like, oh my goodness, I feel so much better. So, and you do feel better when you start laughing. Yes, it'll hurt if you're laughing for more than 10 minutes right at like continuously, but that's okay, because you're releasing all that bad toxins and that stress, and the endorphins are coming out. But today we got a special producer director who's been in the industry for a while, and he's gonna tell us about. He has a new film that's come out, and it's not his first film that's come out. It's called The Goddess of Slide: The Forgotten Story of the Musician Ellen McMillan. Well, we'll find out. I hope I didn't trash today. But anyways, we're going to find out all about the movie. We're going to find out from him what he did, what made him want to get into this business, what he knows now that he wish he would have known back then, and or how he would have applied himself then. So with no further ado, I introduce to you ALFONSO Maioranna.
Pretty good. Hi, DBoss. How are you?
Good. I see you got the memo there. You're doing your laughing tips, so
I know already. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a big fan of laughing. So
yeah. Well, you have to.
I have to have some comedy every day, and that's the one thing I like about the iPhone, is that I can, pick Richard Pryor or George Carlin or all these greats and laugh.
Thank God. And you don't have to, you could put on something, you can't say, oh, I don't have anybody to laugh with. You could do so much streaming. Just go watch some stuff and you'll start cracking up yourself. You might be going crazy. People looking, okay, what's going on?
That's true.
What's going on with ALFONSO? You're all right.
I know.
But that all comes to thing. So here at Real Life Matters, we like to know what's your cultural background and where you're at.
Sure. So my name is ALFONSO Maioranna, and my parents are from Italy. So I'm born in Montreal, basically raised in Italian. I was lucky enough to be living in a French neighborhood, but went to an Irish Catholic school, English. So I speak 3 languages, which to me is great. I wish I could speak. I used to speak a little bit of Spanish, but I'm fluent in 3 languages. I'm very happy about that. And so I grew up in the East End of Montreal, kind of a rough little neighborhood where you had to laugh. My parents had a very, very good sense of humor, and especially my uncles and aunts and my grandparents. Everybody had a really good sense of humor. I think they went through the war, in the southern part of Italy. They're from Naples, that whole area.
Naples. Okay. I was going to ask you what part.
Yeah, so that part, and so I could always remember being a kid, laughing a lot. So and being surrounded by music and film, it seemed like the like entertainment, was part of our livelihood, in the sense that it was always part of our house. And I could see that, it was a struggle. Both my parents were working, in factories and working hard to get my brother and I to go to school. And I've been working since the age of 7, actually. Like
Mhm.
like
Well,
I started working. I was 7 years old, like passing circulars for restaurants. I haven't stopped since then. But but what's what I've been proud of is, and happy that my parents were able to, like, in those moments of difficulty, it was always like, of course, Italian food and
mhm.
music,
And the wine. So, do your parents make wine?
homemade wine, homemade sauce.
Wow.
We did that every end of August. We'd go and we'd get barrels of, like, tomatoes. Would be in the backyard, and then the aunts and uncles and cousins, and it was always very joyous, even though in terms of economically, it was not. It was obvious that we were living in a low to middle class neighborhood, but
Mhm.
I had a great I had a great childhood, in terms of, like, all that stuff, and playing a lot of sports. So
Oh,
I
you
know,
play a lot of sports? So, what sports? I
yes,
played basketball and tennis.
yeah, I played soccer, hockey, baseball, and tennis.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, and then I had to quit. I had to stop tennis and baseball when I was like 12 or 13. Then focused on hockey and soccer, and then, as a teenager, I had to make a choice. So then I chose soccer because my father was a soccer coach,
Oh,
and the passion of it and all that, and then it became like, okay, well, I want to be a soccer player, actually, but there was also
a
this
lot
music.
of running though in soccer. There's a lot of running. Like,
Yeah, it's great, like, you can, and it wasn't a very expensive. It wasn't an expensive sport, because you just needed a pair of soccer shoes, basically, and
yeah.
everything, so
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
that's true. I never really thought of it like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was my childhood, in the sense that I was always surrounded by. I always felt like the positives. I could feel the negatives, in terms of, like, the struggle of making ends meet, but I didn't really feel like my parents burdened us with that.
Okay.
We were always either entertained or entertaining ourselves with sports, and if some of my cousins were doing other things, but yeah, so that was my
So what
child.
did you take in school? Did you take film in school, or did you do
No,
that
no,
came after?
haven't. Yeah, no. Well, I have to say that if it wasn't for my mom,
Mm.
who's my hero, who tragically passed away during the pandemic, but my
Oh,
my mom was the one who always, like, was filming with a Super 8 camera and showing films on the kitchen wall, and
what?
so I always thought about, oh wow, this is so cool, and then basically the first time that I thought this would be like a cool, I saw it as a hobby. Like, I said, oh well, I play hockey, I play soccer, and maybe with my mom, we would film, and then she would go get the film that was developed, and then I would help her thread, and we'd watch the film on the kitchen wall. My mom was obsessed by every weekend when we had family over, we'd watch, Super 8 films of, like, trips, or just anything, So I always was
So
part of it.
everybody had the wall. Turn to the wall. Get the chairs. Let's sit.
Yeah,
Let's go sit down.
yeah, it was always like, sometimes I thought, well, we already saw this, mom, but she would say, oh, it's okay. It's,
You see it again.
see it again, and it's also kind of comedic, because it's Super 8, and there's no sound, but you're imagining, because people are laughing and waving, the usual Super 8,
Oh, okay.
that kind of stuff. So I always that, and I didn't think I was going to be in film. I really wanted to be like an athlete, a soccer player. I thought it was very healthy. I thought,
People, I guess how many people want to be that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but I had this thing with music. My grandfather was a symphony orchestra musician, and
Wow.
so there was, I bogged it down to, like, three choices, basically, like, soccer, maybe I'll be in music, And then the film thing, I wasn't really sure. And then it only hit me when I had to apply. You're in high school, you graduate, and then you got to go to CJEP. And I remember sitting down with my parents in the kitchen, and I said to my dad and mom, I said, I think I want to go to college, but go into the arts, and maybe, I dared say the word film, and my father kind of freaked out. He was like, film? What do you mean? Film? No job in film, and I didn't know what it meant, but there was that, and he actually called an intervention, like a family intervention, where my older cousins showed up to convince me
Oh.
not to go to CJEP at Dawson College.
I went to Dawson. I liked it. You see, we're seeing there.
Something in common there. So my campus was like LaFontaine campus. It was like, it doesn't exist.
My campus was there. I went to LaFontaine there too.
Oh, really? Okay, well, we might have crossed paths.
Maybe you would have known you then, because that was when the campuses were all separated.
That's right. That's when it was all separated. Exactly. So I was.
And Selby was the. Oh my God! They had.
Yeah, it was on.
All the rebels went there, and people that didn't even attend there were in there.
True, it's true.
Do you go to school here? No, we just come here for play cards all day.
I think of the three campuses, that LaFontaine seemed to be the kind of like, okay, yeah.
A lot of Italians went there, Greeks, because they had the engineering, the computer science, the secretarial science. They had those kind of courses there. So that's
I had the lead singer of Men Without Hats in one of my classes.
Oh.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the safety dance? I don't know if you remember that song.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was there, and
that was a good campus, though. How they had it. It was right near the subway. You kind of ran out, and everybody was going to the same building.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you didn't have to. Yeah, and there was a park. LaFontaine Park was close by.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool. Actually, I met some of my greatest friends.
I played for the Dawson Blues. I played basketball for the Dawson Blues.
Oh, wow.
So I went to Showmart. You had to go down. That's where they had the gym, Showmart, for all the activities and stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I think it made it interesting, and I think that having those campuses and stuff, that they were separated, made everybody time management. Like, you had to make sure you got on time to the next one, and if you didn't get it, if you didn't know that you're gonna get that metro on time, you'd walk down if you had to go to the other campus, VJ or something.
I also thought that those campuses were very diverse. That's where I saw
a
little more diversity, because otherwise, like I said, I made a lot of friends from different cultures.
Yeah. And I think that's what they did there. And then LaFontaine, they really made sure that you knew everybody's culture. You knew Italian, you knew Greek, you knew the Chinese culture, you knew the Japanese, you knew the Caribbean, you knew everybody's. So it made our mind so much more open, that we were open to eat all different types of food. We were just like, oh my gosh, we're only going to eat this or.
Yeah, I agree with you, because sometimes you would take a class, like a writing class or like a humanities class, and then you'd have a diverse class, with classmates that are taking a course, but everyone has a different culture almost. So to me, that was like, oh, thank God. Like, I just felt so relieved, because if you're listening to artists that you're like, well, you like, for me anyway, for music, it was all kinds of music, whether it was reggae or punk or
R&B.
Well, I mean, culturally speaking, all those are different, So it's nice that you get into a class and you can talk about Jimi Hendrix. Or you can talk about, The Clash, which is what I was talking, like all that stuff, So
everybody went to everybody's club, like we all went to everybody. If you went to this club, or Studio 69, or if you went somewhere, everybody would say, "Okay, let's go. We're going. Alfonso's going here. We're all going there. Let's go. We're going there tonight."
Yeah, no, you could say, "Hey, we're going to this club. We're going to that club. Hey, that music is playing there." And now,
or Winston's or whatever.
Yeah, and all of a sudden everybody's going, and it's diverse. To me, that was like,
and nobody would go missing back then, because everybody traveled as a group. When it got later, people started going missing. Like you couldn't do that. Like if 10 people were going, 10
Yes.
people better come back home.
Yeah.
Not
No.
8, not 8, not 2,
I know.
or else we're not going out again.
No, it was great. It was there, and it was there. So so this my family had like this. I had my cousins that were older that did this.
Yeah, and they were your chaperones. We had some of those too.
Then I said, okay, well, I'll go into. I mean, there was no reason why I did, but I said, my cousin said, well, just get into CJEP and take sciences or health science or what, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So and
everybody helped everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody helped. They didn't want to see you fail. So everybody worked together. It's not like everybody's on their own.
Except that as soon as I started classes, I said, but what am I doing in these science classes? I don't want so I have to say that I purposely made sure that I failed my tests so that I could show my dad, listen,
this isn't for you.
It's not for me. I made sure that I did okay with my math classes, but all the sciences I was like failing because I didn't like it, and I knew I wasn't smart enough. So for that anyway, and so.
But you had to go team up with somebody. Either if you wanted to do it, you got to team up with somebody. But they always have somebody. They always had somebody that you could work with or team up with. So
but I needed to change. So
the field.
I don't know if I can say this, but so what I did was, I said, how do I get out of this mess? So I said, so I woke up, I went to school, and I didn't go to my class, which was a chemistry class.
Yeah.
I went instead. I don't know if you remember our campus, but there was a dépanneur at the corner, like a convenience store.
Oh yeah, I knew that one. Yeah.
I went to get a 6-pack, DBoss, at 9:00 in the morning, and I went to the La Fontaine Park next door, and I drank myself silly just to get muster the courage to walk into. I got myself drunk. I walked into the guidance counselor's office, and I said, I don't want to be in sciences. I want to go into the arts. And then she told me, I think you need tea, because I was, obviously drunk. I was obviously drunk, and she told me to lie down on the sofa, and she made a call.
They had a lot of sofas over there
She made a call to Bill Gilsdorf, head of communications studies at Concordia at the Loyola campus. And she said, I've got this student here who says he wants to be a filmmaker. He wants to get into film. What classes should he take? And that's how it all started. Like, if it wasn't for, and so then I kind of finished, tried my best not to fail all my classes. I think I failed 2, chemistry and physics. And the other ones and then I switched the next year into social sciences, but I took all these art classes and philosophy.
Yeah.
It felt so much better. And then I was just hoping to get into communication studies where, I didn't want to go to the film studies. I wanted communication because there it was more like you do photography, you do sound, you do broadcasting, you do film, TV. And I just wanted film, but I thought I needed to get into all the arts, So that's how it kind of all started. Sorry, a long story.
Wow. No, it's okay. No, it's all right. And so, but this is how you got there to where you are. So obviously, so what was your first film that you did? The type of films you like to do?
So, as soon as I got out of Concordia and I graduated, I wanted to do my own films. When I was in school, I was shooting everybody's films. I was basically like the DP cameraman, because I thought I want to understand light. I want to understand how the camera works. And I want, to me, I wanted to know all that stuff. And then when I came out, I started by directing music videos because I loved music. I said, okay, well, I love music. Let me direct.
You did music videos.
I did music videos.
Coming out now.
Yeah. And then finally, I was also working in the business. I wanted to work on big films, on film sets. So I did both, but I made sure that I also was doing my own thing. So I was directing these music videos, and then finally I decided that I wanted to write a script. And I don't consider myself a a script writer, but I thought, let me write a story, and I wrote two short films, both like 30 minutes long, and I wrote, directed, and produced these two short films that did quite well. They were in festivals, and I got a taste of like, oh, okay, this is what it is, what it means to do, like, to make a film from scratch, like find money. I mean, I had to find money. I had to beg for money sometimes, but
yeah, well, this people don't understand that this film industry is everything's expensive. You know what I mean?
expensive, So, but if you're young and you want to do something, I mean, I wanted to work so that I have a salary, and
Yeah.
so I was working as a camera. Started out as a camera assistant, not too long, and then I became a camera operator, so that I can be on Hollywood films and learn the craft, filmmaking. At the same time, have a salary, but always keep an eye on like doing my own things. So that's
Oh, okay.
what I did.
Well, that was smart.
Yeah. No. Otherwise, otherwise the industry.
People don't realize that cameras are expensive. All the little parts that you have to get, and all the lights and all
it's
kinds
a
of stuff.
because I know, like, a lot of my graduating class, some people, they didn't even bother trying, or some tried, and there's not too many of us that survived, because it's the industry. You better have morals. You better have, like,
Mm-hmm.
I have a base. I was raised in a way that I didn't get pushed around. And if people were, because you see it, it's not a great. It could be a very, disturbing kind of industry or milieu. And especially if you're, oh my God, if you're a woman in that industry at that time, like the
Oh, that was just like if you're being in computer programming or computer engineering. It was
so
very male dominated.
very male dominated. So
that was a little boys club, and because
Yeah.
when I was in it, and I was in the technology, and that happened. Like, and you're like, people are like, "Who are you? You're not supposed to be here." Excuse me.
No, I know it's not great, and I always because I think because of my relationship with my mom, I always had a good feeling about working and being around women, even if they're older or younger. It didn't matter to me. So when I started working, I remember, like, especially when I got the job as a camera operator. Well, there was always a female camera assistant with us. I mean, what they could do the job just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
So,
and those cameras are heavy too when you got to carry them, because before you had to carry them and all that. It was terrible.
You have to be smart the way it works, and I didn't like being an assistant. I didn't think I was like,
doing anything.
Oh, my mind, no, and my mind was not made for that kind of management and savvy in terms of like figuring out certain things with cameras. For me, I did it though. I liked being a second, because I was like a second camera assistant. I could watch the director work and the DP work. My mind was always like kind of floating around wanting to do that job, So, but then when I became a camera operator, I really liked it, because I felt that was part of the creative process, So
you do the edit. You edit also. You do editing.
No, I like I respect editors.
That's a big thing. Oh my God!
But I'm in there.
You're in there because you got to tell them what you want.
No, I don't hover over them every day. I like to let them work, because it's
do what they do and then show me
what they do. And then I usually like going in when I did my films, going in at the first day of the week, and then they would work, and then I would come on the Friday morning, see what they did. We discuss, and near the end, maybe near the end, I would be there a little more often. But no, that it's a job. It's a creative job. It's a hard job, and it's a storytelling job. As long as you transmit to them what you want to say in your film, and that's where you find good editors that you get along with, and they know what you like. And it's no, I don't like to be like hovering over people. I didn't like that when I was working or something, and so yeah, so that's
micromanaging. But okay, so you say you do what you do, documentary films? Is that what you do?
But the first two films that I did after the music videos were dramas. There were two short.
Okay.
They were fictional dramas, and based on stuff that I lived. Most of my films I like to be inspired by real life. I'm not in the future because I'm not going to be there anyway. So like I'm not interested in the future too much. I like the past and the present. Because I think that's how you learn about life. I don't want to. You can't. You can't. You need to be aware of history. You need to be aware about the past because it shapes your present and it does shape your future. I don't want to skip those things. I don't want to say,
Mhm.
well, let me think about what if there was no cars.
Okay.
I don't want to.
So,
That's me.
so what type of films that you are moving? So, what type of films that you haven't done that you would like to do? Like
Yeah.
what type?
Well, yeah. So now, after I did those two short fictional films, then I was lucky enough later on in my career, which is very recent, I did these two music documentaries, feature films. One of them called Rumble, the Indians Who Rocked the World. I was the co-director, co-writer, and main cinematographer of the film. It won at Sundance in 2017.
Okay.
And because of the love of music, right? It's always been part of my life. And then while I was doing that film, in 2000, that film came out in 2017. In 2014, while I was shooting that film, I was interviewing the Neville Brothers. If people who love music, great music from the Neville Brothers, who are a diverse culture themselves, family themselves. They're African. They're also like Italian. They're indigenous, of course. They're also indigenous, and so their music reflects all that. And I was with them, and then there was a blackout in all of New Orleans while I was interviewing Cyril Neville, who's the drummer. And we're talking, and at one point he says, "Hey, you're doing this film called Rumble. Rumble, which is the song of Link Ray. You should go and buy this album. It's called the Guitar Album. It's all the greatest guitar players of the 70s, B.B. King, rock, blues." So he says, "You should go tomorrow to the Peaches record shop in New Orleans." So the next day, I did. I went and I went out there and I looked for. He said it's a compilation album. Everybody's yelling that, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, B.B. King, all that, Buddy Guy. So I go there and I see that the '73 one is sold out, and then the 1974 of the compilation album is still there. I pick it up and I look. Oh yeah, there it is. There's Link Ray. There's Eric Clapton. All these great giants, men, of music, guitar players. Hall of Fame type people. And as I'm going down the list in the back of all the artists, there's a name that pops out and it says Ellen McIlwaine. I go, wow, there's a woman there, like, wow. Amongst all these great, and I kept thinking, how do I know? I had heard this name. I wasn't sure. Did I hear it on the radio? My female cousin of mine, first cousin, she used to play acoustic guitar. I didn't know where I couldn't figure it out. So I took it to the hotel, and I was traveling with a portable record player, and I put it on, and I skipped all these other guys because I knew who they were, and I went straight to, and I looked. There was a song. It said "We the People," live at Carnegie Hall. I go, wow, Carnegie Hall. That's kind of huge, So
Yes.
so I put it on. The song is "We the People." I put it on, and I got goosebumps. As I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh my God. And she wasn't singing, she was like scat singing. The guitar sounded like there was a bass player or two, but I looked and I go, oh my God, it's only her. Anyway, that was 2014. So I kept the album. Rumble was made. It came out in 2017, and the movie, did well and all that. It won on Hot Docs. It won at Sundance and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, one day, DBoss, I'm at home. It's literally a year, like 2018, like end of January, beginning of February, and I get an email, and it says, "Hi, Alfonso. My name is Ellen. I just want to say it's about freaking time somebody makes a movie about indigenous contribution to music. I saw your film Rumble, the Indians Who Rocked the World. I've seen it 3 times. I'm telling all my friends, all my music friends, I'm so happy you made this film. And I said, oh, wow, that's so nice. So I answered back, said, oh, hi, Ellen. Because it didn't say her last name, on her email.
Right.
I just, oh, hi, Ellen. Thank you so much for those kind words. Are you a musician yourself, or you're just, in the business, or a fan, or whatever? And she answers back and says, well, I dabble in music myself. I guess my claim to fame is I must be the only woman. I think I'm the only woman who's ever shared this stage with Jimi Hendrix 6 nights in a row.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. And I go, and then she writes, my name is Ellen McIlwaine. And then I paused for a second. And I go, where did I hear that name? This is like, and I'm literally, I was like, I feel like this. Where did I hear that name? And then I go look at my albums. Maybe do I have an album with this person? But I didn't have an Ellen McIlwaine album. But then I looked, oh, guitar album. Wait, is this it? And then I picked it up. I turned it over, and there was her name. So I answered. I go, hi, Ellen. Are you Ellen McIlwaine from the guitar album? And she answered back, yeah, that's me. I'm like, oh, well, we need to talk, because what I heard was incredible. So that's how
you came about into the next film.
And then I had to convince her, and she started. We would speak to each other once or twice a month. She said that she needed to be working. She was working, so I didn't want to bother. It took a whole year, almost 2 years, basically. And then one day she invited me to Toronto. She said, "Hey, I was invited by Toronto in Blues, Women in Blues,
Okay,
Toronto Blues Society, to play at the Albert. Oh no, what's it called? That hall, a very famous hall, and not Massey Hall, but the other famous venue in Toronto."
Okay.
We're doing they do this every year. It's all the women that play guitar or sing or whatever. There's a female band and there's a concert, and we celebrate women in music,
Okay.
And so I said, oh, okay. So I was invited, and at that time she was already in her 70s. So I said, okay, I'll go. And so I'll meet you there, And there I was sitting there. I had my phone, and she, after the intermission, she came on. She had broken her ankle because she had a boot. And she
okay.
Pain, and she walked up on stage, but her guitars were there. She had an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, but there was no bench for her to sit down. So then one of the band members runs off stage, gets a bench. She sits down, and she says, "I just need to warm up. I haven't played in a while." And bang, she started playing. And after about a minute, people stood up and started giving her a standing ovation, because it was like, okay, this woman is like a Jimmy. I've never seen anything like that. So
wow.
Then I met her backstage, and then I said, Ellen, we have to do a film on your life.
Wow.
And I said, okay, let's have coffee in the morning. And we had coffee the next day. And then she said, okay. I said, don't worry about it. I'll do my best to find funding. And that's how put it
together. How long did it take you to put this whole the documentary together?
Well, it took a while, because I was actually refused at the beginning.
Okay.
Now, very interesting. The excuse, not the excuse, one of the reasonings, was like, well, they when I had to pitch and sent, they basically, I won't go into the details, but the people that wanted to fund me, or that I was looking for funding for, they were like, well, why are you, being a male, doing a film about a woman? And I was like,
well,
what do you mean? Like, I'm making a film about a female artist who deserves a film to be made.
Right.
And then there was all this whatever, so they refused me.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt horrible, because then I had to call Ellen McIlwaine and say, Ellen,
Oh,
You're talking about Ellen McIlwaine, who lived through all the male-dominated music
industry.
industry of the 60s and
Mhm.
70s. So you can imagine. So I had to tell her this. I go, Ellen, I'm really sorry, but it came from a woman, right? And I said, really sorry, but we got refused. And I told her why, and she sort of says, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Let me write a letter. Who are these people?" And I said, "Well, I'll give you." I go, "Please do, please do." So she wrote this letter saying, there's no other, he did a film called Rumble. I don't want anybody else to talk about my life but him. He,
Okay.
and I was very humbled and grateful to what she wrote. And then I waited another, I wasn't sure what to do. I waited a bit more, like another 6 months or so. I tried again, but this time I sent them the letter first. And I pitched on
Then
this.
you finally go, and then here you are.
I said, hey, well, I said, well, first of all, Ellen is a hero to men and women. Like there's men that were 14 years old that saw her and went to buy a guitar. There's women that were with their moms at a concert. Mommy, I want a guitar. I want to play like Ellen McIlwaine. And
Mhm.
my hero growing up is my mom.
Right.
Does that mean I can't make a film about my mom? I didn't
Well,
understand.
at least you overcame those challenges and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and here you are today.
And so today I'm sharing, this amazing, beautiful woman and who super talented, that basically a pioneer. We're talking about someone that, you know, she was very young. She was playing, and Jimi Hendrix saw her in New York, you know, at the Cafe a Go Go, and said, "Hey, can I play with you?" And he stayed for 6 nights in a row. Like, I mean, that's not just anybody. That's Jimi Hendrix.
All right. So
So,
let's see the trailer here,
oh,
and
great.
then we'll come back.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. Here we go.
All right.
Well, she's got enough energy to light up this whole city, and she's always a delight to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the very exciting Miss Ellen McIlwaine.
First time you listen, it's like, gee whiz, who's that band? And you stick your head around the corner and go like, whoa, all right. This woman could do this stuff while she's sliding and keeping the rhythm and keeping the time, and she's the only musician.
She's just one of those players that steps out and owns it. There's nothing timid about it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, look the fuck out.
When a woman comes out and just kicks the doors down and is just like super ballsy and her hair's all over the place and she's like really loud.
She had power and soul and attack and feel.
She was singing all these really complicated vocal runs effortlessly. They were just flowing out of her. But she was doing that while she was playing these incredibly complex patterns.
Every kid that picks up a guitar, I think they should hear Ellen McIlwaine before doing anything.
Wow. Wow.
Did it get to you, DBoss?
Yeah, it's good. So when can we see this, or where, and all these things?
Yeah. So first of all, luckily enough, the support from CBC Doc Channel, who are our broadcasters. So it's been on Doc Channel since December, mid-December. So kudos to them for supporting my film and giving me the opportunity to get it done. And I have a special screening coming up to everyone who's in Toronto on March 9th at 12:30 early afternoon at the Hot Docs Ted Rogers Cinema, which is the Bloor Cinema in Toronto.
Yes.
There's going to be a Q&A, which means I'll be there for a Q&A afterwards. And then on March 12th, 3 days later, or 4 days later, or 3 days later, yeah, it's going to premiere on CBC Gem.
Wow.
On the streaming network. So that's what it is now. And in the meantime, it's going to be in festivals it's going to be in New York in early May, in Manhattan at a festival there called the Dock and Roll New York Festival. It was also it had premiered in Calgary, which is where she lived, where she lived the last 30 years of her life, and it's going to be in Boston, and it's going to be in Syracuse in October. So it's still doing a bit of the festival route, but for Canadians, it's on CBC Doc Channel, and it's going to be on CBC Gem March 12th. But I hope people can come on March 9th in Toronto, because a film doc, when it's a big screen like that and you see her playing, it's really it's really great. It's a great experience because you get the music full on, in a theater, and you experience Ellen McIlwaine at the top level, So hopefully people can, tickets are on sale at the hotdogs.ca or something like that.
Okay.
But hopefully.
So what are you working on? Anything else after this, or you just focusing on this?
I'm focusing on this, but I am writing a feature film right now, like a fiction, and that I hope to like get funding for in the next 6 to 7 months or so, or
and then come back.
And then come back, yeah, I can talk. But my ears are always open for music docs because I love music. But I do want to get back into fiction, so that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay. All right. So if people want to follow you or find you or all that, can you give your social medias?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they want to follow me personally on Instagram, it's just at ALFONSO MAIORANA. If you want to follow the film, it's at Goddess of Slide on Instagram as well as Facebook.
Okay.
So at Goddess of Slide, Facebook, Instagram, and at ALFONSO MAIORANA to follow me, and that'd be great.
This was wonderful. You told your story, how you started, everything. Oh my gosh, and I welcome you, to come back again.
Oh, yeah. And I hope the film gets to. I'm so happy that it's with you, DBoss, because I know that the film can travel. And Ellen, just to say, like her band, made up of African Americans, people from Cuba, Europeans. She was very much the way I feel. Very diverse in her music. When she got to Toronto, her music changed. so anyway, I hope it strikes a chord with everyone who gets to see it somewhere.
Yes, and go back, you guys, make the comments. He wants to see the comments. You guys look at it and even go back and see his other stuff that Alfonso has done.
Yes.
And his Soul Flicker films. Go back and look. And support. We're Canada here, the Canadian. You got to support us up here. We're doing great stuff. So I know, and I appreciate him for sharing his story today and telling about his family and stuff like. Are there any shout outs that you want to give, Alfonso, to any of your people?
Well, for sure, I want to shout out to my crew, my co-producer Agatha DeSantis, my editor Fanny Daou, my post-production supervisor Tony Manolikakis, and my sound editor Roger Guérin. Everybody that worked on the film, because we went, the film we shot in Japan, we shot in Australia, we shot in the United States, like LA, Nashville, New York. We were all over the place, and we were in Calgary, we were in Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto. We shot some stuff in Toronto. So everybody, it sort of it kind of reflects Ellen. Kind of she was like a world musician, singer, and I kind of went everywhere. I kind of she was. You'll find out. For those who will see the film.
Yes.
Why I was filming in Japan, why I was filming in Australia, why Canada, why States. So there's a little. It's fun. It's a great, it's a great way to see how this woman was, in my opinion, quite ahead of her time. And very unique. And a big soul, a big heart. So hopefully, hopefully. People follow and please don't be shy to ask questions. Ask me anything.
Yes.
If you're a young and upcoming filmmaker, if you're interested in the music of Ellen McIlwaine, I have her album here. She's the best.
Oh, there she is.
and there's posters that are out there. But to all my and to my family that's always supported me, my son Massimiliano, very Italian name, and my daughter Celeste. They were always they've been behind me all these years now, growing up with a father who's making films. So they're pretty cool. So anyway,
all right.
I love them very much.
Well, it's been a pleasure again. So I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in today here with the director Alfonso. Soul Flicker Films. You guys go out there and watch the new one, that's the new stuff that's coming out. The stories, and go check his stuff. He said ask questions. Ask him. He's been in this industry for a long time. So people that's up and coming and want to get in, what not to do, what to do. Right. Stuff like that. He can answer those questions for you. So on that note, good night, everybody, and bye for now.
Good night.